Gracias, señor presidente. Ya les había...
Thank you, President. As I said at the beginning, we should be able to weigh up both sides of the scales. Again, we have to say and repeat what happened on the 7th of October is something that we absolutely condemn. There is no justification for it, not in a defense against colonization settlements or to build a Palestinian state. No. It's not a question of whether the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves. The 7th of October wasn't an act of defense. It was an act of terrorism. They attacked civilians in a premeditated way. And I can repeat that as many times as you want, because it seems that some people don't want to hear it. We also have to be clear that Molotov cocktails thrown against synagogues in Berlin or slogans against Jews in Sydney have nothing to do with showing solidarity with the Palestinian people. It's just the old hatred against Jewish people that was responsible for some of the worst periods in European history, and that we have to fight every single day without exception and without any doubt. Do you want me to repeat it? We can repeat it every day. But that doesn't mean we can ignore what's happening in the West Bank, settlements that are counter to UN resolutions. And it doesn't mean that we can minimize the errors that have been committed by both sides in this tragedy that's been going on for far too long. If we want to talk about laws and rights, we should listen to those who are responsible for implementing it, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Their role should not be based on emotion, but on clear, objective proof. And the ICC is carrying out the necessary investigations into what we see as a tragedy and acts against people without defence. We cannot mix up emotion and reason. Of course, emotions run very high in that part of the world, but we have to try to move beyond emotions to set out the path that we can travel together to try to search for peace. Peace cannot be built on military destruction by a terrorist organisation. Peace will be built on the hope of the Palestinian people, their hope to live in liberty and dignity. Without this, there will be no peace. And peace isn't just something that we want to see for moral reasons. Today we talk about the need for virtue, but it's not just a question of virtue. It's a necessity. And Israel needs a Palestinian state more than anyone, because the best guarantee of peace and security for Israel is the existence of a Palestinian state that's written into international law and respects Israel's rights to survive. That's what we have to invest in. I don't want to get bogged down into Spanish affairs. Spanish wasn't the presidency of the European Council. It's Charles Michel who is the president of the Council. It's not the Spanish government. And they don't have... we have the presidency, the rotating presidency, but that's something quite different. The responsibility for international affairs has been transferred to the High Representative. So if you want to criticise someone, criticise me. And I've also heard your support as well as your criticism, but it's very difficult, believe me, to find the right balance when everyone feels pain and nobody wants to talk about what's going to happen in the future, because everyone is focused on today, on the moment. We want to see an end to Hamas, but also an end to not to see any more deaths. But there will be a day after. And when that day comes, that's when the European Union will have a date with history. We have to contribute more, and not just to try to minimise the damage that's already happened, but we have to ensure that it doesn't happen again. My colleague Yanis was referring to the humanitarian aid that they're so admirably providing. But we also need a political commitment to ensure that this humanitarian aid is not just used to heal wounds, because it's pointless healing wounds if people will die under bombs the next day. We need humanitarian aid, but also political commitment. We need to see both. And I hope that this Parliament will actively contribute to the solutions and will be able to overcome its differences. Thank you.
Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This was a very important and intensive debate, and I would ask colleagues who wanted to take the floor in the Catch the Eye and who weren't allowed to take the floor, I ask them to indulge my actions. It wasn't possible, unfortunately.